I hope you all watched the previous videos. Let's start the session. We're continuing the chapter 3, measuring device and tools. Okay. Crater wear will occur in following part of single point cutting tool. Here in the image you can see that. So you can observe this is the crater wear. Okay. This is the region where crater wear happens. Okay. And this is the wear happen on flank side. So that is flank wear. Okay. So crater wear occurs in single point cutting tool on surface of tool at short distance from edge of the tool. Okay. So it occurs mainly due to diffusion. Okay. Due to diffusion. Okay. And if speed increases, crater wear increases. Okay. And material removal rate increases, crater wear also increases. Okay. So it is more common when work material is ductile. Okay. When ductile and tool material is that is ductile workpiece. Okay. Workpiece is ductile, tool is brittle. Okay. So workpiece is this is ductile workpiece. Okay. And is the brittle tool. Okay. So then crater wear gonna happen. Okay. So it occurs on rake side. Okay. So option C is the right one. Okay. Cutting tool in electrode discharge machining is made of that is made of graphite. Okay. Electrode discharge machining is high voltage and low current method. Okay. High voltage and low current method. Okay. And workpiece is anode, tool is cathode. Okay. Workpiece is anode. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Tool is cathode. Okay. And both tool and workpiece are conductive in nature. Okay. Cutting tool is made of graphite. Okay. So you can see here in the image, this is how the EDM machine works. Okay. A faceplate is used for holding which of the following? That is irregular job. Okay. Faceplate is a circular plate threaded at its center with plane and slotted which are machined rapidly. Okay. It is used for holding jobs such as thin and irregular shaped workpieces that cannot be held between centers and chucks. Okay, you can see here in the image, these are the faceplates. Okay, so large slotted faceplate is the first one, and the second one is small slotted faceplate. Okay, and the third one is driving faceplate. Okay, anvil is used in following function. It is used in forging. Okay, it is a metalworking tool consisting of a large block of metal. Okay, usually forged or cast it. Okay, with a flattened top surface upon which another object is struck. Okay, so you can see here in the image that is the anvil. Okay, so it is used for forging operations. Okay. How many flutes are there in Phillips screwdriver? That is four. Okay, you can see here in the image that is Phillips screwdriver. You can observe the flutes here. Okay, here it is a star type. Okay, so it has head with a painted edges in the shape of cross. Okay, which fits neatly into the cross slots of a Phillips screw. Okay, it is available in five different sizes from 0 to 4. Okay, if you don't use right size, you can easily strip a Phillips screw. Okay, making it difficult to remove. Okay, accuracy of master surface plate, that is option C, 0.00001 inch. Okay, so accuracy of this type of surface plate is much more than inspection surface plate. Okay, which of the following measuring instrument is non-contact type? That is pyrometer. Okay, it is a non-contact type device. It is used for measuring high temperatures. Okay, so this is how the pyrometers work. Okay, which spanner is used for different type of nut and bolt? That is double end spanners. Okay, you can see here in the image, these are the double end spanners of different sizes. Okay, it is used for tightening and loosening of rotary fasteners such as nut and bolts. Okay, shape of flat chisel is measured. So that is measured by width of its edges. Okay, it is made of high carbon steel by forging of it. Okay, length of this chisel is 10 to 40 centimeter and width of its cutting edge is 1.6 to 32 centimeters. Okay, shape of flat chisel is measured by width of its edges. Okay, the angle of vernier bevel protractor edge is, that is 45 degrees and 60 degrees. Okay, it is used for measuring angle of any job. Okay, you can see here in the image. Okay, so least count of vernier bevel protractor is 5 minutes. Okay, least count equals to 5 minutes. Okay, okay, and its design consists of a fixed stock and a adjustable blade. You can see in the image. Okay, angle of edge of vernier bevel protractor is 45 to 45 and 60 degrees. Okay, the principle of universal bevel protractor is similar to that of which one? That is vernier bevel protractor. Okay, the vernier bevel protractor is a precision instrument meant for measuring angles to an accuracy of 5 minutes. Okay, so as we discussed previously, the least count of vernier bevel protractor is 5 minutes. Okay, okay, I will write it down once again. Least count equals to 5 minutes, and that also equals to 1 by 12 degrees. Okay, so to get the least count of 5 minutes in a vernier bevel protractor, the 20-degree main scale is divided into 12 equal parts on vernier scale. Okay, which of the following is not the part of combination set? That is stock. Okay, you can see here in the image, we can find the center head, square head, and protractor head, right? So here this is square head. Okay, and this is protractor head and center head. Okay, The following is not a part of combination set. That is divider. Okay, divider is not there. By looking at the answers, we can decide, right? So there is no divider here. Okay. What is the use of tri-square? That is used to check right angles. Okay. You can see here in the image. Okay. This is 90 degree. Okay. 90 degrees. Okay. Which is not the use of tri-square. Measuring right angles, checking squareness, marking straight lines at 90 degrees against the edge, setting workpiece at 90 degrees. So answer here is measuring right angles. Okay. So we cannot measure right angles, but we can check it. Okay. It is for checking squareness and setting up workpiece at 90 degrees. Okay. Tri-square is meant to, this is meant to check flat surfaces. Okay. So here in the image you can see, okay. So here in the second image you can find that light slide cut is there, right? So this is not flat. So for this kind of works we can use the tri-square to check the flatness. Okay. The principal use of tri-square is that is used to check squareness. Okay. That is the principal use of tri-square. Okay. Tri-square is used to set workpieces at right angles on. So that is on work holding devices. Okay. Tri-square is made of hard steel. It is also called engineer's square. Okay. It has two main parts. We know that blade and stock. Okay. That are set at 90-degree angle. Okay. In combination set, the square head has one measuring face at 90 degree and another at 45 degrees. Okay. Square head of combination set is used to set workpieces on the machines and measure the depth of slots. Okay. It is made of cast steel. Okay. A combination set is a non-precision measuring instrument. Okay. So the combination set can be used for different types of work such as layout work, measurement, and checking angles. Okay. The size of combination set is given by the length of steel rule. Okay. The combination set has three parts: protractor head, square head, center head with a steel rule. Okay. Combination set is used in fitting shop. Okay. The two legs of a tri-square are known as, that is, stock and blade. Okay. We all know that this is the stock and blade, and these two are set at 90-degree angle, right? At 90-degree angle. Which part of vernier height gauge attached to the base of it similar to the main scale of vernier calipers? That is beam. Okay. You can see here in the image. Okay. Beam or a column. Okay. So here you can see the beam or a column is attached at the base. Okay. This is base. Okay. So the main parts of the vernier height gauge are base, beam, vernier slide, scribe. Okay. So coming to the base, this is the datum with which measurements and setting are made. Okay. And coming to the beam, this is similar to the main scale of a vernier caliper and attached to the base. Okay. Vernier slide scriber. Okay. You can see this this is the scriber. Okay. Scriber point. So this unit slides are fixed on the beam and are carried by the vernier plate. Okay, locking screw, fine setting device, and scrape. Okay, which method gives accurate results when effective diameter is measured without considering the thread angle? That is three-wire method. Okay, you can see here in the image. Okay, this is the three-wire method. So the three-wire method gives accurate results when effective dia, that is pitch dia, is measured without considering the thread angle. Okay. In three-wire method, the size of the wire used depends on the pitch of the thread to be measured. Okay. For measuring the effective diameter, three wires are suitably placed between the threads. Okay. You can see here in the image. Okay. The measuring wires are fitted in a wire holders which are supplied in pairs. Okay. To get least count of 5 minutes in a nearby protractor, the 23-degree main scale divisions are divided into, that is divided into 12 equal parts on linear scale. We have discussed it before, right? So, okay, see here, this is the linear bevel protractor. We know that, right? So, we'll find the least count here. Least count equals to 2 times the main scale division. Okay, 2 times the main scale division minus 1 times vernier scale division. Okay, so here 2 times the 1 minus 23 upon 12. Okay, so that is 1 degree upon 12. That is equals to 1 by 12 into 60. Okay, so that is 5 minutes. Okay, so answer here is 12 equal parts on vernier scale. Okay. The value of each vernier scale division of vernier bevel protractor is, that is 5 minutes. Okay, or at 23 degree on 12. Okay, this is equal to 23 degree by 12 parts. Okay, work is usually required to be held in a vertical position for layout. For, for this purpose, it is clamped to. It is clamped to an angle plate. Okay, so this is the angle plate. Okay, we know that it is made of cast iron or steel and machined accurately to the angle of 90 degrees. Okay, combination set can be used to. It is used to check angular surface. Okay, the combination set can be used for different types of work such as layout work, measurement, and checking angles. I'm writing all these. Okay, layout work. Okay, and measurement. Okay, so this is the combination set. Okay, which head is used and set to any required angle in the combination set. That is protractor head. Okay, you can find in the image. This is the protractor head. Okay, chi-square is used to check. That is used to check right angles. Okay, that is 90-degree angle. Okay, a precision instrument used for checking squareness of machined or filled surfaces. That is tri-square. Okay, tri-square is used to check squareness of the surfaces. Okay, combination set is an instrument which has all of these. Okay, center head, bevel protractor, square head. So you can see here in the image. Okay, Center head is there, protractor head is there, and square head is also there. Okay. Gauge used to measure the thickness of a wire or a sheet. Okay. That is wire gauge. You can see here in the image, this is the wire gauge. Okay. Which of the following is not part of combination set? That is stock. Okay. Protractor head, square head, and center head are part of combination set. Okay. We all know. Which of the following is not provided on combination set? That is vernier scale. Okay. The accuracy of measurement by a tri-square is about dash mm per 10 mm length. That is 0.002 mm per 10 mm length. Okay. Dash is not a part of combination set. That is slip gauge. Okay. This is a not a part of. Which one of the following is not part of combination set? That is tail head. Okay. A combination set does not contain which of the below parts? That is dial gauge. Okay. Which of the following is not a part of combination set? That is socket span. Okay. Identify the instrument used for checking flatness and squareness of surface gauge. That is tri-square. Okay. There are three heads in a combination set. Match them with their application. So square head. Square head is used to check and mark angle of 45 degree and 90 degree. So this is one. Okay. Protractor head to measure up to 1 degree accurately. So that is 3. Center head to mark center of cylinders. So 3, 2. Okay. 1, 3, 2. That is option A. Okay. Tri-square is used for testing squareness of. That is testing squareness of one surface at a time. Okay. What is use of protractor head in combination set? That is measuring angle. Okay. Measurement of accuracy of micrometer, caliper, and dial indicator is done by following. That is by slip gauges. Okay. Slip gauge is made of high carbon steel and have a rectangular shape. Okay. They are particularly accurate in measuring tolerances between 0.0012 to 0.005 mm. Okay. It can check the accuracy of micrometer, caliper, and dial indicators. Okay. So these are the slip gauges. Okay. I think you all may aware of the slip gauges, right? At least once you see in the laboratories. Okay. State the use of combination set, layout work, measurements, and checking angles. So all of the above. Okay. Head of combination set by which angle is checked is called as, that is protractor head. Okay. So the next concept, different types of gauges. Okay. In that dash are used to measure external tapers. That is sine bar and slip gauges. Okay. You can see here in the image sine bar and slip gauges. Okay. This is the sine bar and these are the slip gauges. Okay. So the sine bar, the principle of sine bar is based on the trigonometric functions. Okay. The size of a sine bar is specified by its length. Okay. You can see here in the image. Okay. That is the length. Okay. Length from the length of a sine bar is distance between the centers of the ruler. Okay. You can see here in the image, the length is measured from center of the two rollers, right? And slip gauges or gauge blocks are used as standards for precision length measurement. Okay, slip gauges or gauges blocks are made of special steel alloys. Okay, go gauge follows dash principle, that is Taylor's principle. Okay, so the Taylor's principle states that the go gauge should be designed to cover the maximum metal condition in as many dimensions as possible in the same limit gauge. Okay, where no go gauge are used to cover the minimum of metal condition in one dimensional. Okay, so these are the limit gauges you can see here in the image. Okay, go gauge and no go gauges are there. Okay, so here you can see for the shaft measurement, the go gauge should be at maximum limit. Okay, that is higher limit. Okay, for no go gauge, it should be for lower limit. Okay, so to measure the hollow sections, okay, so the go gauge should be lower limit. Okay, no go gauge is higher limit. Okay, you can see in the image. Gauges are used as quick means to check size within certain limits by comparing it with opening gauge. Okay, so here the answer is snap gauge. You can see here in the image. This is a adjustable snap gauge. Okay, and generally snap gauges are used as quick means to check size within certain limits by comparing it with opening of gauges. Okay, snap gauges are generally C-shaped, okay, and adjustable to the maximum and minimum limits of the part being checked. Okay, identify the gauge in given figure, that is radius gauge. Okay, you can see here in the image for better clarification. Okay, the radius gauge resembles a feeler gauge blades vary in thickness, whereas the radius gauge blades tips are designed to measure external and internal radius on each blade. Okay, you can see here in the bottom figure. Okay, if the blade used for measuring external radius are called radius gauges, whereas the blades used for internal radius is called fillet gauges. Okay, the radius gauge set consists of both fillet and radius gauges. Okay, slip gauge generally is made of, that is zirconium oxide. Okay, slip gauge is also known as Johnson gauge or gauge block. Okay, slip gauge also known as Johnson gauge or gauge block. Okay, and slip gauge is used as standard for precision length measurement. Okay, it is a solid rectangular block made in sets of high quality tool steel or zirconium oxide. Okay, I mentioned here, or tool steel. Okay, it is a so the two opposite measuring faces of each block are lapped. Okay, fillet gauge are also known as, that is radius gauge. Okay, fillet gauge is also known as radius gauges. Okay, it is used to measure the radius of an object. Okay, so these are the fillet gauges. Okay, how height should one arm be raised above another arm to measure angle of an angle 10 degree using 100 mm sine bar. So length here is 100 mm. Okay, this is length. Okay, so by using trigonometric equation, that is sine equals to height upon, sorry, opposite side, that is here height. Okay, here given theta equals to 10 degree, right? L equals to 100 mm. So sine theta equals to opposite side is height, and hypotenuse is L. Okay, that is equals to 100 mm. Okay, so sine 10 degree, that is equals to, it is around 0.173. Okay, 64. Okay, h upon 100. Okay, don't get tensed. They will give you the easy angles. Okay, so here h equals to 17.3648. It is around 17.37 mm. Okay, so that is option A. Okay, what is the minimum dimension which can be measured with telescopic gauge? That is 12.7 mm. Okay, so you can see here in the image, that is the telescopic rod. Okay, and here this is how the telescopic gauge enters into the hole or a slot or a bore. Okay, so it is an indirect measuring gauge and used to measure only hole, slot, or a bore. Okay, the shape of this gauge is, you can see, that is the T type. Okay, T shape. Okay, with knurling on the back side of the handle. Okay, so with the help of micrometer, the telescopic rods measured the distance of bore. Okay, in one set there are 5 telescopic gauges available, which ranges 12.7 mm to 152.7 mm. Okay, so range is 12.7 mm to 152.7 mm. Okay, there are, in one set, 5 telescopic gauges are there. In one set, 5 telescopic gauges are there. Okay, which of the following is an example of indirect angle measuring tool? That is bevel gauge. Okay, so you can see here in the image, that is bevel gauge. Okay, so you know that difference between the direct measuring tool and indirect measuring tool, right? So the direct measuring tool is determines the actual dimension and size of the workpiece. Okay, examples are steel rule, vernier caliper, micrometer, bevel protractor, combination set, tri-square, etc. there. Okay, and indirect measuring tools, that is transfer the measurement from the workpiece to the direct measuring instrument, then a comparison is made. Okay, so here the examples are divider, calipers, that is inside outside calipers are there. Okay, surface gauge, plug gauge, bevel gauges, etc. Okay, for checking the diameter of holes, which gauge can be used? That is plug gauge. Okay, you can see here in the image, that is the plug gauge, and no go and go side are given. Okay, for checking the diameter of holes. Dial bore gauge is also known as, that is also known as hole gauge. Okay, so you can see here in the image, that is the hole gauge. Okay, so it is used for measuring inner diameter of bores. Okay, it is mostly used in engine cylinder to measure bore or hole diameter. Okay, frame of thread snap gauge is? That is C shape. Okay, you can see here in the image, that is the snap gauge. Okay, the shape you can observe here is C, right? Feeler gauge is used to check, that is used to check difference between two parts. Okay, here in the image you can see that is the feeler gauge. Okay, feeler gauge is a tool used to measure gap widths. Okay, it is used in engineering to measure the clearance between two parts. It consists of a number of small lengths of steel of different thickness with measurements marked on each piece. Okay, you can observe in the image. What is another name of wire and sheet gauge? That is SWG. Okay, SWG is known as standard wire gauge. Okay, I'm writing here. This is standard wire gauge. Okay, this is standard wire gauge. It is used to measure the thickness and diameter of wire and sheet. Okay, so you can see here the wire and sheet gauge. Okay, hardness of slip gauge should be more than 63 HRC. Okay, the measuring style of mechanical surface indicator is made of, that is diamond. Okay, which of the following instrument is used to check the clearance between two mating surfaces? So that is we have discussed in the previous slide, that is feeler gauge. Okay, so you can see here in the image, that is the feeler gauge. It is used to measure gap widths. Okay, the tooth profile of gears in a dial gauge is described by dash curve, that is cycloidal curve. Okay, so the tooth profile of gears in dial gauge is described by cycloid curve. Okay, the outline of the teeth of a gear is called profile. Okay, the following of two profiles of teeth are commonly used are involute profile teeth and cycloidal profile teeth. Okay, here the cycloidal is the curve generated by a fixed point on the circumference of a circle which rolls without slipping along a fixed straight line. Okay, no-go plug gauge is used to check which of the following. So that is upper limit of hole. Okay, so here you can see here in the image. Okay, so for hole the no-go, that is measures higher limit, right? So that is upper limit. Okay, upper limit of the hole. Go and no go are provided on the same end in a, that is in a progressive case. You can see here in the image. Okay, go and no go are provided on the same end of the gauge. Okay, that is progressive gauge. Okay, the range of screw pitch gauge is about, that is 0.35 mm to 5 mm. Okay, determine the height of slip gauge for an angle of 30° using sine bar of 200 mm long. Okay, by using trigonometry, we'll find this answer. Okay, this is the height of this slip gauge. Okay, and this is the length of the sine bar. Okay, the angle given here is 30°. Length is 200 mm. Okay, so we have to find the height of slip gauge. So sine theta equals to height upon hypotenuse. Sorry, height by length. Okay, so height equals to L sine theta, right? 200 into sine 30, that is equals to 100 mm. Okay. Because sine theta is half, right? 1 by 2. So height we're getting here is 100 mm. Okay. Is the answer? Yes, it is T. Okay. Calculate the height of slip gauge pack required to raise a 100 mm sine bar to an angle of 30 degree. So here theta given, right? This is height, this is L, theta equals to 30 degree. Okay. Sine theta equals to H upon L. Okay. Uh, Here we have to find H. Okay. That is L sine theta. Okay. L is how much? 100 into 1 by 2 because theta is sine 30. Okay. 1 by 2 that is equals to 50 mm. Okay. Height equals to 50 mm. In a plug gauge, the go side will have a diameter equal to the, that is equal to the minimum size of the component. Okay. So we have discussed in the previous slides. Okay. Radius gauges are used to check, that is used to check inner and outer radius. Okay. These are made of hardened sheet metal. Okay. So you can see these are the radius gauges. Okay. We can find inner and outer radii of the work. Okay. Feeler gauge is used for, that is used for gaps. Okay. Feeler gauge is a tool used to measure gap widths. Okay. And these are mostly used in engineering to measure the clearance between two parts. Okay. This is the feeler gauge. SWG stands for sheet metal work. That is standard wire gauge. We discussed it, right? So this is the wire gauge. Okay. We can measure the thickness of the sheet at the end of the gauge parts. We can see here in the image. Okay. Though, so if you want to know the sheet thickness, the sheet will be placed like this. Okay. Which of the following is not a shaft alignment method? That is equals to Wilmy plate method. Okay. So remaining three are the shaft measuring, shaft alignment methods. Okay. Those are laser beam method, piano wire method, optical telescope method are the shaft alignment methods. Okay. Runout is measured to identify dash during alignment of a pump and motor, that is parallel misalignment. Okay, you can see here in the image different types of alignments. Okay, the first one is the perfect alignment. Okay, the axis coincides. Okay, and second is the parallel misalignment, the axis may up and down. Okay, so they are not coinciding. Okay, angular misalignment, so axes are contacting at an angle. Okay, the misalignment is at an angle. Okay, so the combined misalignment, so here the parallel and angular misalignments gonna happen. Okay, Taylor gauge are used for checking, that is used to check clearance. Okay, this is the Taylor gauge. Okay, it is mostly used in engineering to measure the clearance between two parts. Okay, they consist of number of small lengths of steel of different thicknesses with measurement marked on each piece. Okay, the accuracy of micrometers, calipers, dial indicators can be checked by, that can be checked by slip gauges. Okay, Which comparator is used in mass production? That is pneumatic comparator. Okay. You can see here in the image, there is the pneumatic comparator. It is a precision device operated using a pneumatic system or compressed air. Okay. They are cheap, simple to operate, free from mechanic wear. Okay. They are easy to clean, low maintenance cost. Okay. Size of go plug gauges. That is lower limit of hole. Okay. We discussed that. Okay. So this is the plug gauge. Okay. With go and no go sets. Which of the following instrument would be best suited for flatness measurement? That is dial indicator. Okay. And flatness can be measured by different tools and different methods. Okay. Uh, flatness can be measured by dial indicators, spirit level method. Okay. Autocollimator, beam comparator, interference method, laser beam methods are there. Okay. So this is the dial indicator method. Okay. This is how the dial indicator measures the flatness. Okay. In mechanical comparator, the magnification range is that is between 100 to 1000. Okay. These comparators are relatively cheap and are used mainly for comparative measurement of an external surface. Okay. So you can see here the mechanical comparator. Okay. A block level can be used for A block level can be used for vertical and horizontal alignments. Okay, this is the block level. Okay, small hole gauge is used to check dimensions from that is 9 to 10 mm. Okay, small hole gauge is used to check dimensions from 9 to 10 mm. Okay, it is an precision instrument tool that is ideal for measuring small holes, slots, and recesses in all kind of work. Okay. Small hole gauge is also called transfer gauge. Okay, so you can see the small hole gauges of different sizes. Okay, to cut acme thread, dash is used. That is center gauge. Okay, you can see here in the image that is the center gauge. Okay, center gauge are commonly used for hand grinding, threading tool bits on a bench grinder and are also used with tool and cutter grinders. Okay. Acme thread is used for job screws, lead screws, CNC systems, and many other applications. Okay, it is also used in industrial application where heavy torque is required and power transmission such as lathe milling machines and presses. Okay, according to ISA metric screw pitch gauge can measure up to dash pitch that can measure up to 0.5 to 8 mm. Okay, you can see here the screw pitch gauge. Okay, dash strips are there in metric screw pitch gauge, that is 24. Okay, 24 strips are there in metric screw pitch gauge. Okay, screw pitch gauge is also known as thread gauge. Okay, it is used to measure the thread pitch or lead, number of threads per inch, and also the thread angle of an screw. Okay, strip of feeler gauge are dash long, that is 75 to 300 mm long. Okay, it is used to check flatness and gap between the two mating parts. Okay, and this gauge is available in various thickness. Okay, you can see here in the image. Okay, steel filler gauge sets are used to measure gap width by inserting the gauge into the gap. Okay. Which of the following gauges is used for checking cylinders which are not kept in a vertical or horizontal position? So that is pilot gauge. Okay. You can see here this is the pilot gauge is used for checking cylinders and does not kept in a vertical or horizontal position. Okay. These readings allow pilots to gauge airspeed and altitude and have various applications in other equipment. Okay. The tubes are usually beneath the cockpit on the front fuselage. Okay. ACMM is a it is a coordinate measuring device. You can see here in the image. Okay. So it is a piece of equipment that measures the geometry of physical object. Okay. CMM using a probing system to detect discrete points on the surface of object. Okay. There are four main type of coordinate measuring machine. Okay. They are bridge, cantilever, okay, gantry, and horizontal arc. You can see in the image. Okay. Wear resistant gauges are made of. They're made of tungsten carbide. Okay. Wear-resistant materials minimize the friction between mating surface, allowing part to retain their form and integrity for longer in application involving contact between load-bearing surfaces. Okay. The most precise and close tolerance gauges are classified as. They are classified as option C, X. Okay. So here XX allowance deviation is I'll write here. This allowance deviation is 0.00002, 0.00002, okay, and X pin has 0.00004, 0.00004, okay, and there is no Y, okay. Z pin has deviation of 0.0001, okay. ZZ has allowance deviation of 0.0002, okay, 0.0002, okay. What is the angle of drill point gauge? You can see here in the image that is the drill point gauge, okay. So here the angle is 118 degrees, okay. So this is how we measure the angle, okay. The shape of the snap gauge is, that is option C, okay. This is how the snap gauge look like. The shape of adjustable caliper gauge is, that is C type. Okay, you can see here in the image that is the adjustable caliper gauge. Okay, what is the value below which the small hole gauge is used for measurement? So that is 12.7 mm. We have discussed that, right? What is the shape of small hole gauge? The shape of small hole gauge is tubular. Okay, you can see here in the image. This is the small hole gauge. Okay. In how many sets the hole gauge are available? Hole gauge are available in sets of 4 number. Okay. To measure holes in diameter from 3 mm to 13 mm. You can see here in the table. Okay. This is the sets of hole gauges and their ranges. Okay. The shape of frame of thread snap gauge is, that is C type. Okay. You can see here in the image that is the shape of C. Okay. Thank you.